And you're presenting
International Business Management as Architecture for Global Value Creation.
This slide defines international business management not just as a business abroad, but a highly coordinated architecture. Practice of introduction to international business management. 1. Strategic coordination. IBM involves the management of value-creating activities that are geographically dispersed across different countries. Point 2. Navigating diversity. Managers must handle a complex mix of institutional, cultural, and regulatory environments that differ from their home markets. Core arguments. This suggests that the primary role of IBM is to act as a blueprint of architecture that coordinates firms' global resources and capabilities to create value on a worldwide scale.
Management is the planning, leading, organizing, and controlling of resources in order to achieve operational goals in both the domestic and cross-national framework. International business management increases a company's liability due to the increase in economic, political, cultural, and social factor variation increasing. And so more risk management and adaptation is required in international business management than domestic management. A few examples of these factor variations manifestations are cultural nuances. A case example is with Mercedes-Benz integration to the Chinese market, when the Chinese locals misinterpreted Benz as Benzu, and regulatory compliances such as Nike sweatshops in northeastern Asian countries, labor law violations and unsafe working conditions, and extremely long working hours, geopolitical risks such as the US-China trade wars and supply chain issues, for example with the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of these risks were mitigated by implementing these strategies. They are friendshoring, which has to do with relocating supply chains to politically aligned countries, applying universal ethics to their operations, and diversification of their sources and which countries they distribute to. To first understand how IBM can be an architecture, we have to understand what architecture is in the business aspect. Architecture is the process of analyzing and creating business processes, functions, and models, which helps align operational goals with strategy. International business management acts as an architecture because of international strategy. And because international strategy is IBM's main frame, it consists of the core elements, which are the entry mode, decisions, organizational structure, and integration responsiveness balance. These core elements are integral for establishing a sustainable and successful company in foreign markets. It must be noted that the type of international strategy used varies based on the operational goals. The misalignment of strategy and goals leads to unsuccessful integration into host countries. Entry mode can be considered a strategic design choice because it is how a company chooses to integrate into a foreign market. The types of entry modes are turnkey projects, exporting, counter trade, licensing, franchising, management contracts, joint ventures, wholly owned subsidiaries, and strategic alliance. A company's choice of entry mode must align with their operational goals and current economic standing in the market, and the appropriate risk they are willing to take.
Entry mode as a strategic design choice is when a company wants to enter a new country. One of the first and most important decisions it makes is how to enter. This is what we call an entry mode. It might export its products, license a company, form a joint venture, or fully own a subsidiary. Each option comes with different levels of controls, risks, and financial commitments. For example, exporting is low risk and requires less investment, but the company has less control over how the product is sold. On the other hand, a wholly owned subsidiary gives full control, but it's expensive and riskier. A good example is Toyota, which often enters a new market through joint ventures, first to reduce risks and learn about the local environment. So entry mode isn't just about getting into the market, it shapes the company's long-term control and strategic position, and also whether the company is going to be successful or not.
This slide frames organizational structure as the strategic infrastructure of global firms. It determines how authority is held and how knowledge flows between the home office and foreign subsidiaries.
Global integration versus local responsiveness. When a company expands internationally, they face a real challenge. On one hand, they want to keep things the same everywhere. This is what we call global integration. It helps them reduce their costs, keep a strong brand image, and operate efficiently. But on the other hand, every country is different. Customers may have different tastes, cultures vary, and regulations are not also the same. That's where local responsiveness comes in. Companies must adapt to fit each market. A good example is McDonald's. The brand, logo, and operating systems are the same worldwide, but the menu changes depending on the country. This shows that successful international firms don't just choose one approach, they balance both. The balance is what makes global strategy effective and efficient.
This slide uses a comparative approach to show how architectural alignment or the lack thereof leads to success or failure. These factors led to a successful alignment of Apple Inc. 1. Integrated supply chain. They maintain a high integrated global chain that drives efficiency. Point 2. Selective adaptation. While their core product design is standardized globally, global integration, they use selective local adaptation to meet specific market needs. Point 3. Strong control. Success is driven by their tight coordination and global over their various subsidiaries.
Contemporary relevance of international business management architecture. In today's world, international business management is even more important because the global environment is changing very fast. Technology, especially digitalization, has made it easier for companies to coordinate operations across countries. With real-time data, cloud systems, and digital platforms, firms can manage global supply chains more efficiently. A good example is Amazon, which uses advanced digital systems to coordinate logistics and customer service across multiple countries. At the same time, the world is becoming more uncertain due to trade tensions, political instability, and supply chain disruptions. This means companies must design flexible and resilient global structures. So from a strategic perspective, international business management becomes the foundations that allows marketing, finance, and operations to function efficiently across borders.
So looking at everything together, we can see that IBM is really about making smart structural decisions that shape how a company succeeds globally. First, the entry mode decisions determines how much control, risk, and long-term influence a firm will have on a foreign market. Then, companies must constantly balance global integration with local responsiveness. That is, being efficient and consistent worldwide while still adapting to local needs. Finally, in today's world of digitalization and geopolitical uncertainty, having a strong international business structure is no longer an option, it is a necessity. It is what allows firms to stay competitive, resilient, and sustainable across borders. Overall, this shows that IBM is not just one function of a company, but a strategic function that enables global value creation. Thank you.
Entry mode as a strategic design choice is when a company wants to draw.
You're done. Yay. Did well. very hot today. Entry mode can be considered a strategic design choice because of how
flows between the home office and foreign subsidiaries. Points. Oh.